They dive into the dark, crushing silence of the ocean, where one wrong spark can mean death. Not from sharks, not from drowning, from electricity, explosions, pressure that can turn lungs inside out. These are underwater welders. The men and women who fix the world's underwater skeleton, knowing every shift could be their last. No one talks about them at dinner tables. No movies glamorize what they do. But without them, ships wouldn't sail, pipelines wouldn't flow, and oil rigs would rot in the sea. They're ghosts of industry, out of sight, out of mind, and constantly one breath away from disappearing for good. This isn't some exaggerated, dangerous job clickbait. The numbers don't lie. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and dive safety data, underwater welding has a death rate up to 40 times higher than most professions. Some reports estimate that 15% of those who choose it never make it to retirement. Every diver knows it. They still go down anyway. So, what makes a person climb into a metal suit, plug a live welding rod into a power source, and jump into the freezing Black Sea? To understand that, you have to start with what they actually do. Underwater welders are part diver, part electrician, part surgeon. Their mission is simple on paper: fix steel structures underwater, ships, bridges, offshore rigs, subsea pipelines. But the ocean doesn't care about paper. It's cold, unpredictable, and deadly. So they work inside two different worlds, one where water suffocates sound and light, and another where steel and electricity are the only things keeping an entire operation alive. There are two types of underwater welding, wet and dry. Wet welding happens directly in the water, with the diver exposed to the sea. Sparks fly underwater, small bubbles of gas bursting around their hands. Dry welding, also called hyperbaric welding, happens inside a sealed chamber, a pressurized bubble filled with gas to keep water out. It's safer, but safer is relative when you're breathing a cocktail of helium and oxygen at 200 feet below. Inside that helmet, they can hear their own breath echo. Every inhale is precious. Every exhale is time lost. The light from the welding torch is the only thing cutting through the darkness. It's beautiful and horrifying, because the same current that melts metal can also melt them. Electric shock is always the first threat. Electricity and water are natural enemies, and underwater welders live right between them. They use special waterproof electrodes and heavily insulated cables, but one damaged wire or small equipment failure turns the entire ocean around them into a live circuit. One spark, and the current takes the fastest path to ground, through the diver's body. Then there's the silent killer, explosion. Welding underwater produces hydrogen and oxygen gas bubbles. When those gases mix in the wrong ratio and get trapped in a pocket, the tiniest spark can trigger a blast strong enough to rip through a chamber or blow a diver apart. In 1990, a North Sea welder died instantly after a gas pocket ignited. Investigators said the blast pressure would have flattened a car. And even if nothing explodes or sparks, there's still the ocean itself. Visibility drops to zero, the temperature plummets, strong currents tug at every cable. You can't just swim freely. You're tethered by an umbilical cord that supplies your air and communication line. If that line snags or gets severed, you're done. You don't drown slowly. You pass out within seconds, lungs flooding before anyone topside even realizes. That's why training is brutal. Before anyone ever touches a live electrode underwater, they go through hundreds of hours of dive school, pressure chamber drills, electrical safety training, and hyperbaric tests. They memorize decompression tables like religion. The bends, decompression sickness, can turn blood into foam if they surface too fast. Tiny nitrogen bubbles expand in the body, crushing joints and attacking the brain. The only cure is a hyperbaric chamber, if they're lucky enough to reach one in time. Every mission has a routine. Suit up, pre-check everything, double-check the lines, descend. Then it's just the sound of bubbles and your own heart. You can't talk much. The radio cuts in and out. The supervisor on deck tracks every breath you take through a gauge, counting down the minutes you can safely stay down before nitrogen levels become lethal. It's not just physical skill, it's mental control. Panic is death. When visibility drops to pitch black and the current spins you, you have to stay calm enough to find a beam by touch and keep welding like nothing's wrong. Many divers say they develop tunnel vision, literally and mentally. focusing only on the weld, not the void pressing around them. And yet, even with all the training, the ocean still wins sometimes. In 2013, a diver named Chris Lemons was trapped on the North Sea floor after his umbilical line snapped in a storm. He lost air, heat, and communication, stranded at the bottom of the ocean for over 30 minutes. He should have died in less than 5. Somehow, he didn't. His body entered a near hibernation state from the cold, and rescue divers found him alive. But that's one miracle story among hundreds of tragedies that never made headlines. Because most deaths down there aren't cinematic. They're quiet. A malfunction. A missed decompression step. An unnoticed leak. Sometimes all that surfaces is a few bubbles and a silent line. Still, people keep signing up. Why? Money is part of it. A seasoned underwater welder can earn well over 6 figures a year. Offshore contracts pay even more, especially in oil and gas fields where conditions are brutal and the work never stops. For many, that paycheck means a shot at freedom, a way out of debt, a way to provide for their families. But if you ask the veterans, they'll tell you it's not just the money, it's the rush, the pride, the strange peace that comes from mastering chaos. Down there, time slows. You can't scroll your phone or check the news. It's just you, the job, and the ocean trying to kill you. Some divers describe it as addictive, a raw, pure focus they can't find anywhere else. It's the same drive that makes firefighters run into burning buildings or climbers hang from cliffs. They know the risk. They do it anyway. There's also something about fixing what others can't. The ocean destroys everything eventually. Salt, pressure, corrosion. Every weld underwater is a battle against that decay. Each repair keeps an oil platform standing, keeps energy flowing to cities thousands of miles away. They're the unseen backbone of modern industry. Without them, pipelines collapse, ports shut down, the world literally stops moving. But underwater welders pay the price in silence. Their bodies wear out faster, ears pop, joints ache. Some lose their hearing from constant pressure changes. Others suffer from long-term neurological damage due to gas exposure. There's no glamorous retirement plan, just scars and stories that sound too crazy to be true. The job's paradox is simple. It's vital but invisible, thrilling but terrifying, rewarding but often deadly. And that's what keeps people fascinated. It's a reminder that every piece of metal we take for granted, the bridge you drive on, the ship crossing the ocean, might have been welded by someone working blind deep in the dark, trusting that the next breath of air would reach them. Technology's making it safer. Remotely operated vehicles, improved suits, robotic welders, but humans still go down. Machines can't feel metal, can't improvise mid-current, can't make judgment calls when visibility is zero. For now, it still takes a person. Maybe that's what makes underwater welding so uniquely human. It's reckless courage mixed with skill and obsession. It's the need to build and fix, even in the places we're not supposed to survive. It's people choosing to dance with death, carefully, deliberately, because someone has to keep the lights on above. In the end, the sea always wins. But for a few minutes, a few hours at a time, these divers win first. They weld the impossible, seal the cracks, and resurface carrying stories no one will ever fully understand. Because when you ask them why they do it, most just shrug and say, someone's got to do the work. And that's why underwater welding will always be the deadliest job in the world. Not just because of how people die doing it, but because of how fiercely they live while they can.